Allah Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Arsalahu bil huda wa din al-haq liyadhhiruhu ala din kulihi wallahu karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent Him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna astakal hadith kitabullah wa awtaka alura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani Sunnatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada وأما الأمة دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأمال ما نفاء وخير الهادي ما أتباء وشير الأمة أما الكرب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. But the best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are the ones that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa itai dil kurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal bagi ya'itakum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lil nasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever evolved or raised up for mankind. Because you enjoin the right, you forbid the wrong, and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word ukrijat lil nasi comes from karaja. If you were in the Middle East, it wouldn't be an exit sign. It would be, say, kharaj, to go out, to exit. And so, ukrijat, which comes from kharaja, has to do with going out or evolving. In this case, it means evolving. You are the best people that raised up for mankind. Whatever it was in, you was in. Allah brought you out of that, exited you out of that, escaped you from that, rose you up till you became part of this ummah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is the best for mankind, the best of mankind. So that means that we have that potential to be a good part of mankind, which includes womankind, of course, being correct for nowadays, modern times, that we have an opportunity to evolve and rise to a position that we can count in the world in which we live. And so today in the second khutbah, that's what I want to talk about a little bit, is this thing of evolution and rising to the level where you can make some difference in life or in this world. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. الحمد لله مهدوه الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I would like to open with an ayat by the English meaning. O my Lord, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, O my Lord, thou hast indeed bestowed on me some power and taught me something of the interpretation of dreams and events. O thou creator of the heavens and the earth, thou art my protector in this world and in the hereafter. Take thou my soul at death as one submitting to thy will as a Muslim, and unite me with the righteous. This is one of the best, well, it's not such thing as, but it is good. I mean, and it's coming as Yusuf alayhi salam is thanking Allah and asking Allah. He's thanking Allah for giving him the ability to deal with the interpretations of dreams and historical passings of time. You know, other people look at reality and they just keep on moving right along, just like it's just life, but there's nothing particular going on. But Yusuf alayhi salam is thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the events that he went through in his life. He's thanking Allah for each stage of that, including being thrown into the well. He's thanking Allah for his Jahil brothers, out of jealousy, they're going to try to get rid of him. An assassination plot, which as far as they knew, they had to finish him off and they was done with it. It was fine for them. He's thanking Allah for an assassination plot that was almost successful. Don't be for the people that came by and picked him up. But they considered him a booty, a prize. We done just found him, so, you know, that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep you, and we're going to keep you in slavery. And then he considered his slavery as a blessing, according to the ayah, and his liberation in the time of slavery as a blessing. But he also placed, when he was in prison, he still did his job. This is probably when he realized, hey man, there's something deep going on. I'm here teaching Tawheed to people that they're not down with this, and they listening. So even with that, he considers it a big blessing. And then as he describes the exit of one of the two that's asking him about their dreams, right? One of them gets out. And he was the cupbearer to the king, and he's back doing his job, right? And something come up, and they saying, we don't know nothing about it. Man, that is really, you've seen 7 cows go in an aisle and stuff, and 7 of them come out skinny, and 7 of them come out fat. We don't have no. They basically say we don't have no knowledge of that kind of stuff. The cupbearer says, "Hey, I got a homeboy that was in the joint with me, and he down with all of that." Right? No, that's basically what he said. He down with all of that. You know. They said, "Well, go get him then." He said, "Well, I ain't coming out till y'all clear up a certain matter with the sisters. I ain't coming and doing nothing." Then said, "Well, hey, sisters, what happened with the brother?" So, well, he old by now, you know. He the passion. In fact, Jaleka says what it was. It was Nafs Samara. That's in the 53rd ayat of Surah 12. It was Nafs Samara, right? Remember the 3 stages of development. Nafs Samara, self-desire, man, animal self. Nafs Lawama, ethical side, where you now call self-reproaching spirit, where now you can judge between right and wrong, and sometime right wins, sometime it don't wrong. But now that's when you become human, on that second stage. But Nafs al-Mutmainna, this is the stage that Yusuf was at, and this is the stage that many great personalities reach. Nafs al-Mutmainna, when you done reach the ever elevated soul, and where the gravitational pull of things in the earth don't have a big effect on you at all. You can walk through it with ease. But anyway, now so now Yusuf done got out of they done agreed, and he's out of the penitentiary, and he has to do a job. And this is what Yusuf is thanking Allah. I want to thank you for teaching me some of the interpretation of situations, historical realities, and events that go on. And he's thanking Allah for that. And he is clarifying that he understands no matter what he do, Allah is his protector. And you'll find me submitting to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I wanted to open with that, and I'll probably close with it also. But we're living through a period, and for discussion's sake, we'll call this psychohistory. And it's a kind of statistical mechanics, a mechanism for human psychohistory. Is the social scientific dream, is a social scientist's dream. It predicts with uncanny accuracy the course of humanity. This is white folks now, don't get too stuck in. Pay attention to, like Yusuf and all that. The rest of this stuff is just, we trying to make sense out of something and trying to pass on a little during our time that might help. So don't get too stuck on some of this stuff. But when it's talking about this psycho energy, it's talking about a historical type of energy also. It's talking about the rise and fall of empires. That means an empire, what makes it really effective and efficient, that it harnesses the energy of the people and give it focus, right? Okay, we here in America, as black people, we have a lot of energy. We do a lot of things. But it seems like this system here is set up to divert our attention, to divert our energy, to scatter all our activity, right? So if we're going to have a black demonstration, they put people out there in front of it, this handkerchief-headed people, right? To mislead us, right? If they're going to have it, I don't care whether it's Black Lives Matter, this lie, it doesn't make any difference. When we get ready to do something, or before we get ready to do something, boss man is already there concocting something that our energy, through misfocusing or misdirection, right? So we have a lot of activity, if you think about it, as human beings. In our society, we have our people, let's say black people, we have a lot of energy. And we do a lot of things, you know. But I don't know if y'all ever saw that cartoon. I think it was Boondocks or something about Martin Luther King. He's in a coma and he come back after so many years being dead. Being in a coma. And he came back and people had G-strings on, dancing and partying. He said, man, I quit. I'm going to Canada. You know what I mean? He said, man, imagine any of our people, our great personalities. Remember Malcolm, he gave his life, or he placed himself in a position where his life could be taken for the cause that he was perpetrating, right? And the same with Dr. King. You could see Dr. King in 1968 when the white folks in Chicago is acting. He said, these white folks in Chicago is worse than in Mississippi. He's a Southerner. He's used to them. But when he get up there, they throwing stuff at him and they eyes is popping out. He said, man, these people are bigger races here in the North than they are down in Dixie. For no reason, right? And you could see he was a little despondent, but let me go on. So we have energy, but there's something going on in the society that makes our energy be diffused where it serves no purpose. That same thing now is happening to the one that used to be. He used to be in charge of energy. He would, if it was getting too small back here in the East Coast and he wanted you to go out west and take all that stuff from our red brothers, right? He would raise up somebody, go west, young man. Your future is the west. And people jumped in covered wagons and went all the way across to the west, right? They just went and went, wagon train after wagon train, right? In other words, this guy had conquest on his mind. He had domination on his mind. So anytime something came up, he used his energy for something that would perpetrate or pass on his idea. So when the French got whipped down in Haiti, right? It was the first time a black group whipped 50,000 of Napoleon's best troops down in Haiti. Now that's pretty serious. And these people up here eyes got big. They said, man, we can't stand none of that. But anyway, the French wanted to sell some of their property that they stole from the Indians to get some money. So that's the Louisiana Purchase. But it wasn't Louisiana. Man, the Louisiana Purchase went all the way up through the Midwest all the way over to the Pacific coast, right? Going around California. So in those days, the U.S. was becoming an empire. So it had experience, it acquired the experience to focus the energy of the people, right, on something that would produce and expand their empire. Now, America never said it had an empire, but of course it does, the American empire. Anytime you have 169 bases around the world, military bases, you got to be there to keep an eye on something. So it don't make no difference what you call it. You can call it democracy, free trade, and all that. That's what they use. Anyway, so the history of empire is written not in speeches and proclamation. It uses the language of energy. It's not proclamations and great speeches. How does that group of people or future empire use and direct its energy? For America, now remember, I don't care what empire you're talking about. This is basically true of most empires. During their rise, you will find that they are efficient and effective at using their energy. When Genghis Khan and them, or the people of his tribe, was running around, up in Mongolia and everything, just riding horses and hunting and carrying on, wasn't a whole lot happening. But when they focused their energy, all the things that they did, them little old ponies that they rode, was actually good for attack ponies. And they could stop on a dime, turn around, right? And they was good at shooting from horseback. They could, hey man. So all of their characteristics have taken focus. Now they're going to knock China over. They had a great wall there. They said, we ain't going to care nothing about that. So they knocked it over. And then they came to the rest of the world. And right now, if you go to Pakistan, you'll find somebody's name is Yusuf Khan, or this is the way where that come from, or Afghanistan, because of the Khans from the past. Right? They came through they captured a lot of the Muslim world, a whole lot of it. And so they left their heritage. But the beautiful thing about Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan, they captured the Muslims, but Islam captured them. So they didn't take a lot of gold and silver and what have you back up north. Guess what they took back up there? Islam. That's how Islam spread all Mongolia and all of that. It spread through them. They came and captured and subjugated the Muslims. And Islam captured and subjugated them. And they took that back up north. So they used their energy to subjugate us, and Allah used their energy to subjugate the rest of the world, what they was controlling. That make a little sense. Now, so when it talks about empire and what have you, we could think about the British Empire. British Empire was pretty serious. The sun never set on the British Empire. Before them, it was the Romans. And the Romans lasted longer, and I mean, I'm telling you that thing probably went on almost for 2,000 years. The British Empire didn't last hardly no time, and the American Empire. The American Empire, if you take from World War I up to now, the American Empire is on the way out already in 100 years. The Roman Empire lasted 1,500, almost 2,000 years, right? That's where the Latin, the language, all of that, you know what I mean, came from. The law, Pax Romana, the Roman peace, the Roman conquest that lasted for almost 2,000 years. So that was a pretty serious time because they had a time to spread and do it. And here come the British. And the British, they lasted a couple hundred years. And now here come Big Bad America. Big Bad America is already on the way out and just got here. That shows the acceleration, the acceleration of time. In other words, what used to take 1,000 years to do, now, after generations and generations, the consolidated period, it used to take you, I don't know how long to go around the world. Now you can go around in a snap of a finger, right? Everything now is on the internet. You used to have to go to the library. You know, when I first became Imam, my favorite spot was the library. And when I got to D.C., that big library down there, you could find me there all the time with big stacks of books and everything. Now, you don't even have to go to the library. You can take out your phone, right? And you could plug in anywhere in the world, anytime, any subject. And you don't have to leave. It almost makes you in some kind of way sad. Man, you don't have to do nothing to become a professor in any subject. I can give a khutbah now, just at the phone, and you're going to get the English, Arabic, whatever you want. All of that. You know, anyway, so let's move on a little bit. So the British Empire was pretty effective for a short period of time. The sun never set on the British Empire. You know, if it was something happening, the sun was setting in one part of the world, it was rising in another. And wherever it was rising and setting, the British had a colony, and they had coal and iron, and they built a big navy, and so they could rule the world. By the way, most island countries have a real bad navy, like the Japanese, believe it or not, had a serious navy. They used their navy to attack Pearl Harbor, right? But big land-based countries don't have that. A big navy is necessary for Britain because it's an island-type country, right? And so there's some benefits to it and some negativity. This ability to predict and to forecast, for us, it's kind of like Yusuf. But that ability to kind of predict and look at things the way they're coming and happening is, if you have the means and the mechanism and the know-how, you could use it for good. Plus, if you have the means, desire to do bad, you could use it for bad too. If you can look down the road and see where everybody's going, right? So now here we are, we're looking down the road, and we've been doing this for a long time. Anybody that's here and been here are already used to several decades of focusing on the present and how the future is going to look, and it just so happens that we've been correct in that. So that's good, but sometimes it's a dilemma. So we want to talk about the good parts of that and the dilemma. First of all, it could place you in a state of helplessness or hopefulness. Right? If you misappropriate the good that Allah give you or that shows you, you can get a feeling of helplessness. Man, I can't do nothing about all this. The world is going on like it is, and ain't nothing I can do about it. Right? And so, what if they fill up all the oceans with plastic? Right? I can't do nothing about that because I feel helpless. I feel overwhelmed. And now they're going to make electric cars, and they got big old globs of stuff at the bottom of the ocean that you know what it does? It's perfect for electric batteries. And they're going to go down and get all that stuff up out of the ocean. And they don't care what it's there for or what it does. We're just going to get that. And ain't nothing you can do about it. Right? Me and you, it's not a whole lot we can do about the trends and the developments going on around the world. You're actually just running your mouth, using up space, breathing up all the oxygen. Right? In a lot of cases, that's the way you can look at it. No matter how much we talk, everybody keep rolling along like it ain't no big deal. So you could talk till your mouth turn white, slob come out of your mouth, and ain't nobody gonna move. That's the way you could look at it. So that would develop a feeling of hopelessness. Man, if you really took it wrong, you say, man, I'm gonna get me a little piece of whatever I can around here and go on about my business and keep quiet. Like most civil rights people and most people that work for a few years, after a while they give up. They say, man, I done tried to hook my folks up all this time and they just drive right along like I'm not even here. That's what Martin Luther King, the joke in the Boondocks was, man, if this is what they're doing, I'm going back to Canada. And he showed girls with G-strings on partying, you know, and he said, this is preposterous. This is a type of insanity. You know what I mean? That this world would produce this, and it ain't no just king. It's the world. I want you to look at the world the way it is right now. The world has gone crazy, it's acting crazy, and it ain't doing nothing about it. And they're not fixing up or trying to straighten nothing up before they go to outer space. They say, man, we going out there, and the ones that's got the money to go out there, right, are the ones that's messed up everything down here, right? You can't get no spaceship and no Discovery rocket to go up there and land on the moon and dig up nothing and send something back so you can look at it and what have you. Well, you know, they had the New World. The New World was the West. It was called New. I mean, the people have been here the same amount of time they've been there. You know what I mean? But they called it the New World. And guess what? When they came from the old world to the new world, they did the same thing they've been doing over there. They conquered and poisoned and slaughtered and killed just like they've been doing over there. I mean, you would be shocked that some of those armies in the old days during Roman times, they'd have 300,000 people. A small one would be 100,000 people. You know what I mean? And I mean, they used up all that energy for death and for destruction. Okay, let me speed up a little bit. Helpless. Now, you could feel hopeless also. There's no hope of doing anything about this world, you know. And then you take your prediction rate. How often are we, let's say in here, how often do your forecast and predictions come out correct? Okay, so if you have a high rate of forecasting ability, if you was a gambler, if you raced horses and all of that, it would be great because you could predict and forecast every race and all of that, right? And you'd be big money. But suppose your forecasts and predictions deal with the rise and fall of civilizations. And all of your forecasts have been about life, birth, growth, decline, right, and death. That everything is born. Then it grows, then it gets old and declines, and then it dies. What about that ability to relate to civilizations, to battlefields, to if you look at literally everything we've talked about, if they lost in Afghanistan, we told them stay out of Afghanistan. If they lost in Iraq, we told them you jumping up and down today or tomorrow, but you wait. Another 2 weeks, the stuff gonna hit the fan, right? And everything that technically we've talked about here have been, let's just call it correct. So that could make you, if you were a gambler or you was trying to make money, you'd be happy, man, I can forecast, you know what I mean, get my little facts together and I can forecast with 90% accuracy what's gonna happen. This horse gonna win that race, and that this gonna be the president, that's gonna be that guy gonna lose, right? So it could produce a type of hopefulness or hopelessness. In our case, it doesn't produce either one. It produces wonder and amazement. Wonder and amazement, how? Okay, we had a Quran and it talks about Noah's son, Noah gonna run her. Boy, you better get yourself on this boat. Man, I just get up on this hill or something. And he got up on the hill for a minute and the water kept on coming and there he was gone. Right? So this seems to be the pattern of behavior where we are, right? No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what are the historical and environmental circumstances, when you look at and you deal with the people say, Allahu Akbar, that's great, and then they go right on about their business and keep doing what they was doing. It don't have no relation to anything constructive or reconstructive. And so it could make you a little bit of hopelessness. That's not our case because that's what we have, the Quran. And we find in that a lot of inspiration. And we find that this is not the first time Palestine has been taken over. The Christians took over Palestine way back when. And it was occupied for over 89 years. Then Allah raised up a Kurd, not an Arab, to be the caliph over in Egypt. And his name was Salahuddin Ayyub. He unified the people, raised up an army, and he liberated Al-Quds. So Palestine. So we could look at this and we have options of how we're going to look at this. And then we look at the death and the destruction that goes on right now in Palestine and been going on, but we look at all of a sudden the whole picture is changing right now. Although we lost hundreds of people, the destruction of our area, the psychological makeup, the emotional makeup, the historical perspective of the people have changed right before our eyes. Is it new? No. Same thing happened in Lebanon. Remember 2006 when the Israelis, so-called, they go invade Lebanon? And under inspirational guidance, they whipped the Zionists in front of everybody. And you saw the Zionists on TV crying like babies, and they on big tanks. We can't see them. I said, maybe they got the ghost shirt on, the Indians in America. Of course, they didn't technically, for the American Indian, they didn't work. The ghost shirt where the white man couldn't see you. And if he shot you, the bullet would bounce off or something. Anyway, it didn't work for the brothers. But that's not the end of the story. They're still here. You don't know what's coming later, right? Something may come later that they get all their land here back, and we ask them, hey, we've been here so long, we'd like to stay if it's all right. And they said, well, y'all are homeboys. Half of y'all is half Indian anyway. So you go on and have a good time. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know why? Because big boss man, I wish I had to show you, he got one on. Boss man bites the dust. I'm going to read some of them same ayahs. Boss man is technically biting the dust all over the world. I want to be brief. I'm going to try to get through this in a hurry, but Afghanistan, he's been there 20 years. He hurry up trying to get home. They won't let him. They ain't going to let him go. They keep doing something, and then boss man say, of course, he want to stay, but he don't want to stay. He want to leave, but he can't go. You know what I mean? He kind of handcuffed, shackled to something he did. He should have stayed out. The Russians told him, hey, man, stay on out of there. All the people, the great conquerors went by Afghanistan. In the old days, what's the guy who's in Greece? Alexander the Great. He come rolling through there. He said, man, I'm going to keep on going. He just had a feeling he was right. Because he would have got bogged down in Afghanistan, the Greeks might still be there getting beat upside the head. You know where you had a bad dream and you wake up, you get beat upside the head, you go to sleep, and you keep this happening. That's what happened to the Greeks if they would have stayed. It sure happened to the Americans. The Russians just packed up and run on out, right? They said, forget it. Enough is enough. But a lot of the Afghans got hold to America's behind, and they won't let it go. They're saying, please let us alone. We want to go. No, you wanted to be here. You wanted to move in, right? You wanted to kill all the people. You so bad? But it won't work because the British at Khyber Pass got stuck here in 1854. So, well, you should have read that history. You just reading it now, right? The great British Empire, the sun never set on the British Empire. We stopped them. We did, the Afghans. And we ain't got enough sense to do nothing else. We're poor, we're raggedy, and we ain't got nothing. Right? We want to live like everybody else, but you can't oppress us. Life is oppressing us. Transportation is oppressing us. The flow of rivers, the sun, everything, right, is rocky. You ever see Afghanistan? It is rocky, rocky, rocky. There ain't no whole lot of nice little green spots, you know what I mean, and what have you. It's different than here. And the U.S. is there now, and it's stuck. It should have known better. It should have read history. That's what we're dealing with a lot today. I'm trying to speed up. So for us, prediction rate, we already know what that is. Project management, we here have talked about homelessness for decades, and we want to try to do something about it. We want to start in California, and so that's one of our big projects. We'll talk about that later. The black universities and other universities, we're going to go through there and we're going to talk to them very soon about something that they're doing already, and they want to do it, but give it focus. For decades, we've been 100 against joining and cooperating with the system known as America, right? 100% against it, right? But now, we're saying there's a new time limit. Seems like we don't, Allah knows the time. But how much time do we have in this dispensation, right? How much energy do we have? How much focus do we have? So what we're saying is, the Israelis are controlling all our arenas, including the police department. So they're telling the police, and you can see it, shoot and kill them niggas like we do in Palestine. Y'all just low-class murderers. You go, let us show you what we do in Palestine. We got head busting. Now remember, the people in Palestine are under the brute force of Zionist Israeli murderers. And all their policies are head busting, ankle busting, shooting people with so-called that ammunition that knock your eye out, knock a hole in your head, rubber bullets. That's rubber. You ever stand in front of rubber traveling at 2,000 miles an hour? It'll tear you wide open, right? They call it rubber bullets. The people think, oh, rubber, it bounces right off. No, it don't. It don't bounce off of nothing. Okay, that's the environmental realities that our brothers and our sisters are dealing with. And we here in America are dealing with the reality of not just the old-time cracker racism, but being taught by a superior racist, the Zionist, the heartless Zionist, right? And you got to remember now, we're the target of those people. See, if you are the target of old boss man here, just regular old white man, you could say, oh, boss man, old Mo's just getting a little tired, and you can fool him. You can actually fool. That's where we learn how to survive, is listen to the people who was born in 1900 and all that period. You know, the end of the 1800s. That was when I was growing up. I watched their game and nobody else paid any attention to it. Not only that, there's nobody in the FBI or any of these other modern organizations, right, that know any of the game that they practiced in 1910, 1920, 1930s. That old Dixie con. You had to have game in order just to survive. Think about it down south. And if you're going to get anything for real, you got to make boss man feel like boss man, you just a good old white man, and you helping old Mose and Po Moses' family, and he, of course, old Mose ain't no threat to you, and he appreciates you for being a good white man. Boss man, you just the best white man in the world. I tell you, boy, look at here. They don't have no. If you want to imagine why we're here today, because we done made a combination of all of that stuff. Ain't nobody else still here getting away with nothing. But we're still here. Why is it? 1/3 of it that, 1/3 of it black nationalism from the 60s, and the other third super duper Islam. Right? And they got two combinations down. What the niggas did in the 60s and what they do, what the Muslims do, we got them. But they ain't got the old con from back. See, when I was a little boy, I used to sit there with the old folks and listen to all them old stories and all of that. I used to sit there right there with my father. And he was born in 1900, and that's all they talked about is that stuff. I absorbed it. Of course, the ultimate reason is that Allah keep you alive. You know what I mean? You can't just figure out, I got game on it. No. But allow you to absorb what you need in the terms that you're living with at your time. Right? So anyway, we're going to speed up. So we're going to teach a 180-degree policy. All you youth, all you people in all the black colleges and all over the country, do what you was going to do anyway. Join in the system. Wasn't that what 95% of the Negroes come out of the university, don't join no private industry or nothing, do they? They join the government. But now it's with a purpose, right? See, here's the thing. There's a time element, there's a mobilization effort, and there's all of those things. We don't have enough time to raise any other option in the United States, right, for ourselves as a group. So this is a decision that leadership has to swallow. There ain't no time to do nothing else. They already done got everything ticked off to where they can do, and they are doing anything to you they want on TV. Every day. All day. Stuff that they doing on TV now, that the Watts riot was because the police brutality. So the whole city went up in flames. The city I'm from in Oakland, all of those things was based on police brutality, right? And now, the police now, you believe it or not, see, that was a time when you could actually fist fight with the police and tussle and all of that. You can't do that now. Someone have given them the legal ability, the badge ability, and everything to shoot you dead anytime they want. And if they put one in prison for a few years, so what? It makes them look good. What about all the other people have been assassinated since then, just 1 year? You can't turn on the TV. Somebody else just got killed in Louisiana. Someone else just got killed in the same state, right? I'm saying, so now, what do we do in all of this? All right. Make civil service your salvation. Of course, you make Islam, but I mean, how many people you think come into Islam right away? They're not moving fast enough. They're not moving fast enough, and I want you to think about the acceleration of time. What used to take, it wasn't but 15 years ago when you turn on your computer, that thing go round, 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 round. It took an hour for you to juice up, right? Now you push the button and it come on. You used to have to go to a library. Now you just pop your phone open and 90% of the things that you want to learn, right, you can get it right off your telephone if you got stretched out telephone, right? You get it off your telephone and push the button. If it's hooked up to your computer, it'll print out all those articles, all in a row, just like you want, right? You don't have to go to the library. That's in the last few years. Artificial intelligence. How fast is it moving? Artificial intelligence. When they first took the big old machine, big as this Masjid, I don't think he won no chess games playing. Last year, the artificial intelligence crew played chess with the grandmasters, and they lost the first game, and they didn't lose none after that. every time. Why? Because it now has the ability to learn. It has the ability to learn. Now, this monster wants to create another monster before he gets control of himself. Right? He can't control himself. And he's creating a monster for money. And there's all kind of dumb stuff floating around in his mind. This whole thing is to make money. Well, if he make artificial intelligence and computers and all of that to make products, well, in 10 years, who the hell is going to buy his products? Because it ain't no more people got no money. Right? So the next thing he's going to tell the computer, you could kind of ease these off, you know. In fact, it's only ideal if we have 1 billion of them. And then after it's down to 1 billion, they'll say, but this is a beautiful world, eating, no more plastic, no more. What they going to think of? Since they got all the money, we don't need all them niggas. A billion people? Now it's 8. We don't need them people. Well, let's put it back to the Garden of Eden. Right? And he'll get rid of the rest of the people. Then the computers will get rid of him. Right? Because he done gave them all the game. And eventually, one of them going to touch something and say, well, if you do that, that give me some kind of will use all this for our own purposes. So he go around and he hook up a few more computers, right? Artificial intelligence is just normal. And the dummy is gone. The same fool that started the whole problem itself, the other people say, we can't leave that guy around here. He's a troublemaker, right? We're machines. We don't make trouble for nobody. After all, who needs them anyway? We can fix each other. We can do all of this other stuff, right? Tell the truth. This is not way off in the future. This is the next couple of years. Remember the acceleration of things? Things are accelerating fast. So what I'm getting to is you and I, the human being, has to organize himself, discipline himself to look out for the earth first. You may think it's the earth first. No, it's not. We've been on this. What we're talking about now, we've been talking about for over 20 years, 30 years. We've been on this subject. But we had to modify it at different times, you know, because we didn't want to get out in front of the public. But now we got to get out there. So let me speed up. So the universities, the colleges, the black students will not be joining the system to kill black people. It will be doing it to rescue black people. Because what is the mechanism that's used by the system? The police, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the civil service, right? Look at the numbers of black people we got in civil service already. If there's a goal, not stated and not talked about all the time, but if black people were to say, we're going to overload the police department, well, guess what? From the colleges, from the universities, that's the best that they've created. You know what all of them are? Test-wise, within 5 or 10 years, what are they? They're the captains, and they're the lieutenants, and they're the sergeants, right? And it's almost a necessity because the white nationalists are doing that by the hundreds, right? Right now, that's who's killing all the black people. But guess what? We are in a position where we can hit it by the thousands and hundreds of thousands. Why? Because for some reason, old boss man took that independence out of black people. Think about it. We used to own stores, shops, and businesses, but that's kind of independent thinking. You can win or you can lose. So they trained the Negro. He's been trained over this period to take orders, right? To be a part of boss man's system, right? So we said, good idea, boss man. Since you done made us like that, we're going to trick your behind for a change. One trick. What is it? We're going to hit you in mass. Soon you'll reach a critical mass. That's when critical mass means that you've reached numbers now where you can have an influence. You don't go in there on the first 5 years opening your mouth, we here to fix this up, and oh no, just cruise along. You try not to beat no Negroes over the head and hang no Mexicans. Try to make sure you don't do none of that, right? But you keep your mouth shut and you just taking all the tests and moving up the line. Then you reach a level of protection. Why? Because now the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the police, everybody, at all the universities, and all the park rangers and all of that. Anyone with authority, that's where you are. And not only that, you tell the white people, we got something up in mind. Instead of you going and try to stopping all the boats from killing the whales, join the people, join the white folks there, your folks. Just join them, just get in there and get some power and authority inside of that. So pretty soon they can tell you to kill the whales, and you just turn around and say, yeah, boss, we got it. You know, I don't guess white folks would do it like that, but they wouldn't do it, right? But now they have a critical mass. It's very simple. At certain times, there are certain plans, certain strategies that you can implement that will work. Right now, we're under the pressure of time. You know how we used to talk here? Oh, we got longevity, right? That was our favorite word, longevity. You don't have that opportunity. We didn't play that all the way out. There's no more time for longevity. You don't know, only Allah knows, but you don't know the time limit. But one thing that you know about it, boss man is in and accelerated decline. And in a decline, right, the first thing they start, like Eunice, throwing stuff overboard, right? Right? Who you think going first? Well, you think white folks is going to say, well, this boat is full of people. How about I just jump overboard and make it light for everybody? Think they're going to do that? They're going to look around. You ever see white folks on the Titanic? The movie, The Titanic. You know, I'm not saying it was bad, but black people sung Jubilee songs about the Titanic, Lusitania, all of them ships that went to the bottom. In 1912, Jack Johnson was the heavyweight champion of the world. Nigga, you can't get on this boat. And everybody knew it. So when it went down, they shouldn't have been doing that. They were happy. Black people. Yeah. John Jacob Astor, all them high muckety mucks was on that boat, right? And it went down. I guess you got to study the psychic of the time. They were not happy, I'm sure. Nobody would be happy to see all them nice white folks go to the bottom. I know they wouldn't. But can you imagine the era, the time, right? Jack Johnson, when he fought for the championship in 1910, that must have been the toughest minded Negro in the world, to walk out there and whoop that white man and make fun of him at the same time. In Reno, Nevada, all them guns and rifles out there. See, y'all might have liked Muhammad Ali. I like Jack Johnson because my father and their friends, that's all they talked about. They didn't talk about Muhammad Ali. They talked about Jack Johnson because they was kids when it happened. They used to tell the old story that a guy went down, before he got lynched, of course, he went down to a restaurant and said, I want some coffee, black as Jack Johnson, and some eggs beat up like Jim Jeffries, scrambled eggs. And they dispensed with him, of course, but that's the way the joke was. Okay, now we'll get back to those of you who may not understand the environment you live in. There are time periods which we've studied very well, but only Allah knows the time. Now, it's time to not tear the system down and stay away from it. It's time to embrace the system. Yeah, embrace it. Become police. As many as you can get. You might get 20% of them, right? That's all right. After you get critical mass, you got to imagine America. 20 years from now, everything is going bad, America is going down. Well, if it's strife, the niggas started it, so let's shoot them all. If you full of the police department, right, they can't do it. I have some information on this. Back in the 60s, my family went to the biggest church in town. They still do, Allen Temple. And so my sister was in a panic, running and came to find me. Hey, all that. They turned around, and they told me that we was just told that they were scared that your name was coming up. The police, the black police that was in the church, right? The black police that was in the church, some of the first ones told my sister. They knew our family. And they told them, your son is on the wire, your brother's on the wire, he better be careful, such and such and such. I was at a demonstration 2 years ago. It was a celebration of Geronimo Pratt, if y'all know who that was. And I was giving a speech, and I was telling about how me and so-and-so was friends, and we worked out together. And the old lady, this is about 10 years ago, tell the truth. So the old lady, she was 94 then, she sent somebody to come and bring me over. She said, I'm Fleeta's mother, and da-da-da, she told me. I said, oh, so Fleeta Drungo, Soledad brother, was actually one of my best friends, a workout partner, So she said, I didn't know y'all used to play together. She thought working out meant play, So anyway, the same time, one of the Negro police, of course he didn't have a sign say he was a police, but it's the second or third time that he had approached me. And he didn't look at me and wave no flag. He said, hey man, we're very proud of you, da-da-da-da-da. And he just went on about his business. That means there are police inside of they were happy because The thing about the police department, they don't see no Negroes that reform. And they don't see no Negroes that had a policy. When we used to talk about East Oakland Enterprises, what was it? Same thing Martin Luther King did in '68. We did it the same year, but ours worked in Oakland. Ours worked. They used to say that nigga employ more people in the city of Oakland. So the whole society that we was living in was black people controlling their neighborhood. Anything come in, anything that go out and circulate. So money circulated in our community. That's what East Oakland Enterprises was. That's why the police don't get no sleepless nights right now. That nigga there is dangerous. And if I go out and try to start a car, it won't start because the boss man is there all the time, every day, all the time, because he remembers. He remembers Africa. He remembers South America. He remembers everything, right? It's all on his record. It's all on his record, right? And so right now, we're using that, what we've learned by challenging the system. And we have learned something about time limits. This looks like that there is a time limit between where we are now and where we could be in a few years, right? If things keep getting bad, right? Which way they gonna go? Boss man inflating the money, giving money away free money. How long can that last? Just think about it. Eventually, the money crashes, right? When the money crashes, America crashes. Because the money, the printing of money, is the last hold card that America the Great has, right? See, you may not be overseas, but ask anybody from there. When they save money, they save it in dollars. All the drugs, the billions of dollars in drugs that come here from South America and whatever you, a lot of it is the government involved. But even the part that's not, when it goes back to South America. Remember Pablo Escobar? He had a house, it was $4 billion or something in the house. He told Colombia, here's what we'll do. If you take and don't sign that treaty with America about extradition, we'll pay the national debt $4.5 billion. That was 25 years ago, Colombia. That's the money dope dealers have, right? Therefore, that kind of money is so big, boss man gotta be in it. He's the one that cranked it up, right? And you get big, look at all the Negroes. You get big, you stay big for a while, you spend up a lot of money, party, he didn't train you, and then the money goes back to him. He puts you in jail or kill you and it's all over, right? Right? That's the way he do. That's the system. And as long as they want, you can bail out, you can do this till all your money's gone. Then what your lawyer do? He turn you over, say, it's all over for you, you better take a plea. I took a plea from the start. Well, you don't have any more money, Johnny. Right? What do you want me to do? This your lawyer. I can't pay off. My kids are in the best schools in the country. I'm driving 3 Benzes. I live in a $1 zillion house. I have expenses. How can I live, right, and all of that if you don't pay me my salary? And the dirty thing about your dear government, whatever happened, the government tell lawyer so-and-so, he's an honest man, say, you give us that nigga, we'll give you 10 free cases in a row, big as you want. We just want that nigga. What's the lawyer gonna do? You mean you give me 10 free cases, you guarantee I'll beat him? So he can go to every other criminal or dope dealer and say, get me as your lawyer. I guarantee you'll walk. 10 of them in a row, right? Pretty soon after he done that, he's a $1 zillion lawyer and he got all the money you can imagine because they wanted that Negro, right? And he gave them to him. Then they give him all the other, he got 10 Negroes or crackers. He can get off any case, right? Because guess what? You think they care? Heck no, they don't care. The more cases they got, the more police they got, the more judges they got, the more lawyers they got. It builds up their system, right? And who's the victim of your system? Their system, right? 95% of the people? Well, it's technically 94. Plea bargains. Isn't that right? And is that justice? I'll get to the real point. The point is this. Let's break it down in good old slow English. Which we live in an environment that's moving along at its own pace. It's right on the tip of outer space, going into a whole new dispensation. Just like in the old days, it was the old world and the new world over here. Anytime there's a transition like that, the people that have the money, the people that have the wealth, the people that have the know-how, number one, anything that's out there, you don't have the money to go out there and find it. So if they find a vein of gold on Mars that's 100 miles long, right? And 3 inches deep under the soil, who's going to get that? They are. Then they can control that, right? They're not going to send it all back in 1 day or 2 days because they want to keep the price of gold up. Like diamonds. You know how many diamonds they got all over? The white folks got vaults full of diamonds. Why? Because if they let them out like that, the price will go down. You and I don't have nothing under our control, but here's what we can do. In order for him to oppress people, in order for him to arrest people, in order for them to maintain people, who do they need to keep them above board? You and I, right? Remember the 99%? And the 1% is, the math is worse than that. Here's what I'm saying. The 99% and a part of the 99% is you and I. The system cannot work unless we cooperate. So we cooperate until we get in the right position. Yeah, cooperate. Take all the tests. Become the chief Negro. Yeah. Now you said, man, Musa talking about, he talking all that talk, don't work with the white man, do this, that. That was then. That was then. Not now. This is an emergency. It ain't got no plan coming from nowhere and nobody instituting nothing to preserve your wife, your children, your family, and nobody. You're going to depend on boss man to do it? Of course he's a nice guy. He won't kill you. He don't kill nobody else. He don't kill Indians, right? He don't kill no other natives. He's a nice guy, boss man. You remember him, right? Sand Creek, Battle of the Little Bighorn, all that. You remember him. He's a nice guy. You can trust him. That's what he tells us. Musa, you trust me. I said, boss man, I sure do. I trust you. I tell you. I stay up all night just reminding myself how much I trust you. And I like you too, boss man. You're just the nicest cracker boy, I'm telling you. With people like you, right, we're safe and secure, right? So what do you want to do? Stay on the outside and let him get you, or join up? I say, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be at black colleges all over the map telling them, join up. They're going to join anyway, right? But join up with a purpose. Isn't that right? Join up with a purpose. This is the thing that we haven't had in a long time. In decades, a national purpose. Remember the old people. You got to be twice as good, right, to get half as much. Our teachers, when I was growing up, black people had something. We don't have it today. We don't have it anywhere close to it. We had a national purpose. We had a national purpose. And we knew whatever we did, we was in it together. Right? That's gone. That's gone. They jump up and down. And any group you start, Black Lives Matter, Negro Lives Care, they gone, all of them is white folks, right? Tell the truth. You haven't got nothing. They ain't left you nothing. So let's pull an old coon on boss man. Join up big. Take all the sergeant's tests, because you've been in the university, all the lieutenant's tests, all the captain's tests. And you leave that poor Peckerwood, and that's European or something like that. Leave him down there out on the beat, outnumbered by you, because he's already joining up, right? Why you think they just shoot niggas without? They didn't do that when I was a kid. They beat you upside the head. When they stopped lynching us, they did, if they didn't lynch you, they just beat you to your mouth hanging all open. That's that type of stuff. You could actually fist fight the police. I got knots on my head right now from fist fighting the police. Of course, they get to the club and pretty soon you're but you just hurt. You ain't like dead. Try it now. Go jump on the police. Say, come on here, man. Put that badge down, me and you. Go ahead. I'll come. I'll pay to see it. Right? The whole world has changed. I'm telling you. You could talk to me about it later. We could have a seminar on it. This is the time to join in with boss man. The only way you can stop him is be there with him, be in charge of him, and everything he planned, he got to plan it around you. He can't go kill your whole neighborhood, because in a few years we'll have critical mass. That means it'll be enough of us in the system to slow it down, to divert it. We don't have time to do anything else unless you got a better plan. If you got a plan that all the Negroes going to become Muslims and not tattletale Muslims like the ones we got now, right? And we ain't going to be like the Negroes, like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and all of the Black Lives Matter, all them people, right? You'd have a better chance with them innocent white kids that they don't know what's going on than you would with the Black Lives Matter Negroes. Anyway, so I'm going to move toward a close. But whether we let thee see in thy lifetime, O prophet, the fulfillment of some of what we have promised thee, or whether we cause thee to die before its fulfillment, thy duty is no more than to deliver the message, and the reckoning is ours. No matter how you look at it, hey, it don't look good for the home team. We can't stop nobody or make nobody do nothing. But here's what we say. Join up and protect yourself. Join up and protect yourself. None can dispute about the signs of Allah, but the unbelievers, let not them and their strutting about through the land deceive thee. Don't let boss man's bragging and talking about how bad he is and what he's going to do deceive you. Boss man's in big trouble. Trouble that he can't get out of. Right? Trouble that there's nothing he could do about it. He's broke, and he's getting broker every day. And so he said, we might as well play it on to the finish. There's no way for him to get out, the system, to come out of this anywhere where the playing field is level and anywhere where he's doing all right. I'll just say one or two more. Can then those who devise evil schemes ever feel sure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them, or that the suffering will not befall them without their perceiving whence it came, or that he will not take them to task suddenly in the midst of their comings and goings, without their being able to elude him, or that we take them to task through slow decay. Slow decay is slow wastage. Does that make any sense to anybody? Slow wastage. All immigrants, if they'd have came here 30, 40 years ago, they could have got a job washing dishes, driving a cab, and send big money, the husband's money, the wife's side money, for them to have. They could do that, and they could be in school. Can't do that now. Slow wastage. Some years ago, believe it or not, the white man used to work on his job, and he'd have a brand new Chevrolet, brand new house, and live a middle class salary. Just him working. Just him working. Then they broke that down. Now the wife got to work. Now the kids got to work. Now everybody got to work, and they can't keep nothing going. Right? No more new cars, new Chevys. Right? Y'all probably don't remember that. I'm just telling you how America was. Slow wastage, slow decay. The system is decaying right before of our eyes. Sometimes it happens so slow it's imperceptible, but it's accelerating. I'll be ready to close in just a minute. Whether we shall show thee within our lifetime, no, we done already read that one. It said, see they not that we gradually reduce the land and their control from its outlying borders. Where Allah commands, there's none to put it back, his command. And he is swift and called. Outlying borders, atrafa, the best. America is shrinking. American wealth is shrinking. American education is shrinking, right? American everything has already shrunk, right? Has already shrunk. So therefore, you and I have to look out for ourselves, because when things get bad enough, who they going to try to throw overboard first? You and I. If you love your family, protect them. And protect everybody else. There's one police right on this block, he can teach 5 or 6 how to really shoot instead of holding a gun like this on TV. You ever seen a white man hold a gun like this sideways? You know why? Because you can't hit nothing that way. If you want to hit a white man or a Negro, You got to plant yourself right, and you got to aim it correctly. The only one that'll hold a pistol sideways is a coon. Nobody else. Right? Tell the truth. That just don't work like that. The thing will kick and hit you upside the head. Everything like that. And I'll just read 2 or 3 things and call it a day. If anyone travels on the road in search of knowledge, Allah will cause him to travel on the road to paradise. The angels will lower their wings in their great pleasure. And with one who seeks knowledge, the inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, and even the fish in the deep waters, will ask forgiveness for the learned man. This is Abu Dawood. Now we got Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. But Abu Dawood is a technical collection of hadith. So certain of those hadith have a very serious status. What it's saying here? If you want to travel on the road and search for knowledge, Allah will cause you to travel on the road to paradise. But the key part here, the inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, even the fish in the deep water, will ask forgiveness for the learned man. What do you think the fish that's eating all that plastic, even stuff that they know something's wrong with them because they got a belly full of plastic, right? Because they nibbling at all this stuff. It's not real, right? And you cut a fish open and it got a big long thing full of plastic in him that won't digest. Isn't that right? You see it on TV all the time. The fowl of the air, that birds are flying up there in the smoke and acid rain and all that up there. The fowl of the air and the fish of the sea are making dua and giving praises to a person with ilm to stop this mess. Man, we need your help. That's what they're saying. Well, the hadith say that's what they're saying. The birds that are flying and the fish of the sea. Man, we need help down here. We can't do nothing about it. Right? What they thinking. We can't stop all this. And a big old fish said, man, I remember the days when the water was fresh and all that. He about 100 years old. Maybe a turtle, they live that long. Man, that was the good old days. It ain't like now. They praying, hope we can get somebody to help put it back like it was when he was a boy, a fish, whatever he was. Okay. And I'm moving toward a close. This is the last one of our As-Sabiqun, Toward a New Global Harmony 2012. A well-known concept in Islam is Islah, al-Islah. The word Islah has several connotations, including improvement, betterment, correction, reconditioning, and cultivation. It involves growth, advancement, becoming better, evolving to a higher state or level of excellence. Inshallah, with a process of Islah among humanity will also come the healthy recovery of the earth, With the proper consciousness and assistance of mankind, the earth must be allowed to regenerate. Whatever natural systems are necessary to return it to a state of balance. Al-Mizan, the earth was created in balance. Don't worry, just hold on, we're finished. And if anybody just got to go up and go, just pray, dua, and go on. Because this is a particular time. If you want a half-hour khutbah, go over to Dar al-Hijra somewhere where they ain't talking about nothing. Well, we're trying to save our life. Tell the truth. This is an important discussion we're having. It's not about birds and bees. It's about what we can do specifically to give ourselves an opportunity to get to day after tomorrow. I'll let that go. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited from the ayah, if you turn back from the path, he will substitute in your stead another people, then they would not be like you. And the messenger was asked, O Messenger of Allah, who are those about whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if we turn back, he will replace us then in our place, and that then they will not be like us. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam struck the thigh of Salman al-Farsi, who was sitting next to him. He said, he and his people, had there been religion or deen near Pleiades, that's a star, some of the Persians would have certainly secured it. So the question is, O Messenger of Allah, who are these people? Right? They won't be like us. So they'll be like them. Do you know Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim? Bukhari from Bukhara. Sahih Muslim al-Isfahani from Isfahan in Iran. Do you know the 6 collectors of hadith? The 6 are from Sahih Sita. You know where all of them are from? What was called the Persian Empire at that time. Abu Muslim al-Isfahani. You know where Isfahan is? It's in Iran. The river running right through it. Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi. That's up in Afghanistan, like almost, but it was a Persian Empire. The people that thought the hadith collection was so important happened to be people that's been dealing with knowledge all their decades in life and have a background in it. They said, we better collect these sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Because they had to record keeping. They had all that stuff. Okay. If anyone travels on the road in search of knowledge, Allah will cause him to travel on the road to paradise. The angel will lower their wings in their great pleasure, and one who seeks knowledge, the inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, even the fish in the deep waters, will, as similar as the last one, will ask forgiveness for the learned man. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his angels and the dwellers of the heavens and the earth, and even the ant and the hole and the fish send blessings upon a preacher of good to the people. That is, now, what is the good? The good is to rescue the earth, to put it back in balance, like what Allah gave us the earth, al-mizan, with mizan, balance, right? Remember, we can remember as kids, the earth had a balance to it. It don't have no balance now, right? It's out of balance. It could only go so long. Dear believers, there's a few more to read, but I'm going to close with what I opened with, because I don't want to run y'all off all at the same time. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, O my Lord, thou hast indeed bestowed on me some power and taught me something of the interpretation of dreams and events. O thou creator of the heavens and the earth, thou art my protector in this world and gave me the ability to interpret dreams and events, right? And he's asking, giving thanks to Allah and asking protection for that. So if we've been doing this for 20-something, 30 years and everybody had heard it over and over again, they can remember. Everybody that's been here a long time can remember the same stuff over and over and over again. And they can go to their calculator or their newspaper or wherever they go of, their historical record, and see what's the level of accuracy out of all that time. Everybody can go in this, everybody got it, they can, right? What's the level of accuracy? Let's just say over the last 30 years. What's the level of accuracy? You done said all of this stuff. How accurate are you? Are you 50% accurate? 80% accurate? 90% accurate? How about maybe 95% accurate? You ain't going to say 100 because it's 100%. Maybe it's perfect. You might be tripping up on 94%, 95%, 98% accuracy. Right? What do you do then? That's why we're doing like Musa said. We thank Allah for that. But it's our duty to tell you this. We all have to do it together, right? You don't have to say it and do it all by yourself, right? I mean, just think about it. Not only you can't do it all by yourself, you weren't meant to do it all by yourself. But here's one thing we know, that Allah done blessed us with many great blessings by placing us here at this time. It's a tragedy, but it's a blessing. If we get our stuff here together, we can make the world a better place. The world a better place, right? Because of where we are. Remember in the old days, all roads lead to Rome. In the old days, when the Roman Empire, city of over 1 million people in those days, all the roads, all over the world on all the continents, right, led to Rome. All the airlines and all the other shipping leads to here, New York, San Francisco, LA. Right? But guess what? And I'll close. All those big ships laden with goods come to LA and drop off their cargo and they go back empty. It's simple math. America's not producing anything. They're not producing nothing but fluff, big talk, threats, and what have you, right? Their days are numbered. We don't want boss man to fall on us. He'll be too heavy. You won't be able to move. I'm telling you. So let's straighten out. We'll close with this. This sounds a little crazy. This is kind of Mandelaism. Let's rescue boss man. He just been following the devil. Shaitan, that's all, right? Yeah, why not? Rescue old boss man. So what? He don't appreciate it. Well, Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is beside thee. Ameen.